Hi there, this is Oliver, and I will be doing a series of videos on my educational journey in the UK. Let me start by introducing myself. I was born in Beijing in China, and I lived there for 15 years. I spent 1 year in Australia before coming to the UK to do my A-level studies. I did further maths, physics and chemistry for my A-levels, and that was at the Lees School in Cambridge. I then got into the University of Cambridge, where I completed a 4-year course in chemical engineering. Now, when I first got to the UK and started my A-levels, I was very nervous. I could remember my first day in the school, and everything just felt really strange and new and different. My English skills back then, you can probably say my English was all right. I mean, I could hold a conversation with people, but I would still sometimes have problem understanding people. Fortunately, at the start of my A-level study, my school offered ESOL lessons. So that's English for Second Language. And that's also where I met Mrs. Muston, who is now the director of Cambridge English class. Back then, my attitude towards learning English was very simple. Memorizing lots of vocabularies and phrases, and doing lots and lots of past exam papers to practice. Now, when I started my ESOL lessons, the lessons were actually quite different to what I imagined. The teachers would sometimes give us articles to read, topics to talk about, cultural differences to discuss, video clips to watch and learn from. The lessons were, I could say, very interactive and detailed, but they weren't very exam focused. Initially, we didn't think this method would work very well, especially knowing that when we get to university, the universities will be asking for certain scores in English language exams, like IELTS, for example. And to be honest with you, my whole year group, we were a little bit skeptical about whether this method will actually get us there. However, our teachers, especially Mrs. Muston, insisted that immersing ourselves fully in that environment was the right way to improve our English. She would often say things like, if you know the English language well, you will pass the exam and you will get the score that you need. Her philosophy was a little bit more like how, if you are learning to drive, if you can drive on any roads, you can surely drive on a test route. So eventually we went on board and started trying to make the most out of these ESOL lessons by participating in every single discussion, for example. You might be saying, well, surely it will be more efficient if we employ an exam-focused strategy and do things like memorizing vocabularies or phrases and try and pass the exam as soon as possible. Well, in our experience, even though that might work in the short term for some people, in the long run, we find that it's far more beneficial if you can try and understand why people say certain things, to engage with the language, to appreciate the culture and the tradition of the nation where people speak this language. By doing all of that, you are improving your English by using it. I used an example of looking up in the dictionary. I know that at the start it will feel naturally easy to look up dictionaries in your own language, right? You see a word you don't understand, you look up on your mobile phone with an app to translate that to your own language. My ESOL teachers were very strongly against that, and I do agree with them. I think it's actually far more beneficial in the long run if you have always tried explaining a word that you don't understand in English, because there you're not simply creating a mapping between words in two languages and retrieving them when you want to use that word. No, but you're actually understanding how to use that word, different form of that word, or how it can be used in a sentence and whether it has any positive or negative connotation associated with it, etc. At the end of my A-level, this method of learning proved to be very effective. I got 79% in Cambridge Advanced English exam, which was equivalent to an IELTS 7.5, and that was enough for me to get into Cambridge. Most of the students in my year also got higher than they expected in their exams. This new method of learning also encouraged me to be more confident in other areas of my academic study. For example, I was always encouraged to voice my concerns or express my own opinions that I was able to do to apply to other settings. So in summary, I picked up a new approach to learning English throughout my A-level studies, which is to improve my English by properly understanding it and using it. And that method proved to be very effective.